The choice map, think of this as an illustration of the mindsets, the learner and judger mindsets, and how it can be operationalized. So on the left, you have this little guy who represents any one of us at any moment in time. This is a snapshot, not a video. At any moment, things are occurring to us, both internal and external. So circumstances are occurring, always, and internally, the environment of thinking and feeling is always swirling around. So you know the saying, it's not what happens to you, it's what you do next that counts. It's true, but not necessarily empowering. Let's add to that the template of learner-judger, because what happens, happens, and then we either go judger or we go learner. And remember, this is moment by moment. Truthfully, the judger path is the default position. Why? Because we're hardwired for judger, and because we've had lots of experiences that sort of tone us to judger. And also, it's sort of like my mother-in-law, whom I love dearly. The phone would ring and she would say, "Who got hurt?" Where was she listening from? She wasn't already listening for judger. And we're wired that way. So that's not an issue. It's just so. That happens. We can also go learner. Now, the paths are marked by questions. And the judger questions, which we illustrated before, internally focused, externally focused. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with them? Why do I have such bad luck? Why are they so stupid? Why am I such a failure? And we end in the famous judger pit. Our questions virtually program thoughts, feelings, behaviors, and outcomes. And when we ask judger questions, we are virtually programming thoughts, feelings, behaviors, and outcomes unintentionally. So let's come back up here again. The phone rings or whatever happens. We also can go learner. Who's on the other end of the phone? What do they want? What are they going to give me in any particular situation? What are the facts? What are the assumptions? What are the goals? So what ends up happening as we pursue the two paths, and of course it goes very quickly, is, as I said before, we create a different world that we're living in. And we create that world in our thinking, our speaking, and our listening moment by moment by moment. The beauty of that, as I said, is that when you can observe the world you're creating and how you're thinking, speaking, and listening, and you have a methodology for discerning what those questions are, analyzing them for effectiveness, revising them if different questions might get you different results, and then the courage to ask those questions, you literally have a methodology that you can use anywhere for the rest of your life. So the choice map illustrates those choices that we're making moment by moment. The learner path and the judger path by themselves do not make this practical. And I'm very committed that this work be practical. What makes it practical is the switching lane. So the switching lane requires that standing here, we suddenly go, wake up, am I in judger? And then we can ask the questions. Do I like how I feel? Do I like what I'm doing? How is this going to work out if I stay here? How else can I think about it? And those questions literally move us up here. And I could give you story after story about how the switching questions impacted dramatically people's results as well as their physiology, sometimes very quickly. So it turns out that the whole model comes down to developing the capacity and the willingness to notice judger and to switch. So think about it as ABCC: awareness, breathe, get curious, and then decide. Awareness, breathe, curiosity, and decide. Also, just to note here, in emotional intelligence, there are 4 pillars: self-awareness, self-regulation or self-management, awareness of others, and social skills. So what happens when people begin to practice this model, which is a forever practice, what you are literally doing is reinforcing the first 2 pillars of emotional intelligence. People don't need to hear the term or the name